A financial tremor is shaking Europe, sending ripples of uncertainty through the continent's major financial centers. Traders and investors are on edge, watching the numbers flicker and fall, and its shockwaves are reaching all the way to Washington, D.C., where policymakers are scrambling to assess the potential impact on the American economy. Switzerland, long renowned for its banking secrecy and reputation for financial stability, is now at the center of a global storm. The government is considering a new tax targeting its lucrative gold refining and trading industry, a move that could reshape the world's gold market. This proposal has ignited fierce controversy, drawing a furious response from former U.S. President Donald Trump, who warns of dire consequences for American interests. The announcement has rattled global markets, sending stock prices tumbling and investors into a frenzy. At stake is a potential $48 billion addition to the U.S. deficit, a staggering figure that could have far-reaching effects on government spending and economic stability. The world is watching closely as a decision in Bern could have profound and lasting consequences for the U.S. economy and perhaps for the global financial system as a whole. For decades, the U.S. has relied on Switzerland's unique and dominant role in the gold market, trusting Swiss expertise and infrastructure to keep the flow of gold steady and secure. Now that long-standing relationship is being tested. The proposed tax could disrupt the balance, with possible impacts on the strength of the dollar, the price of gold, and even the cost of everyday goods for consumers. This is more than just a tax dispute. It's a high-stakes drama with major geopolitical implications, pitting two financial powerhouses against each other in a tense standoff. To truly understand the crisis, we must look back at the history of Swiss gold, how this small nation became a global hub for precious metals, and why its decisions matter so much today. We'll also explore the complex mechanics of global finance, where money moves at lightning speed and a single policy can shift billions across borders in seconds. And we'll examine the intense political pressures facing both nations, as leaders try to balance domestic interests with the demands of a globalized economy. Why does Swiss gold matter so much? The answer lies in its outsized influence on international trade, currency reserves, and investor confidence worldwide. How could a single tax from a small country shake the massive U.S. budget? The answer reveals just how interconnected our economies have become. In our tightly linked world, a single policy change can trigger a global chain reaction, setting off economic dominoes from Zurich to New York to Beijing. As of August 27, 2025, officials in both Washington and Bern are scrambling behind the scenes, holding urgent meetings and making frantic phone calls to manage the fallout and prevent further instability. The world holds its breath, waiting to see if diplomacy and negotiation can avert a costly economic collision, or if this tax move will mark the start of a new era of financial uncertainty. To grasp the uproar, we must understand Switzerland's dominant role in gold. About 70% of the world's raw gold passes through Swiss refineries each year. 4 of the largest gold refineries are Swiss, handling gold from across the globe. Switzerland's neutrality and stability made it a trusted safe haven, especially during global crises. Over time, Swiss precision and trust built a gold industry that's indispensable to the global supply chain. The U.S. relies on Swiss refineries for transactions and quality management of its vast gold reserves. This partnership allows the U.S. to manage gold efficiently without duplicating Swiss infrastructure. The Swiss gold industry is a cornerstone of global finance, providing liquidity and setting standards. Taxing this industry isn't just a local matter, it's tampering with a vital part of the world's financial engine. That's why tremors from Bern are felt so strongly in the U.S. The stakes are global, not just Swiss. Just, what is the Swiss gold tax? The Precious Metals Responsibility Initiative proposes a new value-added tax, VAT, on gold imported for refining and re-export. Currently, this gold flow is mostly tax-exempt, cementing Switzerland's status as the world's refining hub. The new plan, pushed by Green and Social Democratic parties, aims to make the industry contribute more to public finances. The proposed 7.7% VAT would be levied on the value added during refining. Refineries would pay the tax, but the cost would be passed to customers, mining companies, central banks, and major investors, including the U.S. For clients, this means a sudden, significant cost increase. The debate is not just about Swiss tax policy, but about Switzerland's role in the global economy. Can Switzerland impose this tax without driving business to cheaper refining hubs like Dubai or Singapore? That's the billion-dollar question. The world is watching for the answer. The Swiss parliament is set to debate a controversial gold tax on October 15, 2025, a date that is already marked on the calendars of financial analysts and gold traders around the world. If approved, the tax could be enacted as soon as January 2026. The proposed 7.7% levy would apply to more than 2,000 metric tons of gold processed in Switzerland each year, gold valued at a staggering $100 billion annually. The potential impact of this move is enormous, with ripples expected across the global gold supply chain. The U.S. Treasury has already projected that this tax could drive up costs by $48 billion over the next decade, as American companies face higher prices for refined gold. Meanwhile, Swiss officials estimate the tax could generate between $5.50 and $7.7 billion in new annual revenue, a significant boost for the country's finances. Supporters argue that this windfall could help fund vital social programs, providing benefits to Swiss citizens without increasing their personal tax burden. But critics warn that as much as 40% of the gold trade could shift to Dubai or Singapore, as traders seek lower costs and fewer regulations, potentially undermining Switzerland's expected revenue. If the gold business migrates elsewhere, Switzerland's gains could quickly evaporate, and U.S. costs could climb even higher. The numbers are volatile, and predictions are changing by the week, making the stakes higher than ever for everyone involved. Governments, investors, and industry leaders are racing to predict the fallout, analyzing every possible scenario. The clock is ticking down to a decision that could fundamentally reshape the global gold market and alter trade routes worldwide. Every new data point, every market fluctuation is being scrutinized for clues about what might happen next. The world is watching closely, waiting for Switzerland's next move, as uncertainty hangs in the air. The golden gamble is on, and the outcome could change the future of the gold industry forever. The debate exploded when Donald Trump called the Swiss tax a globalist shakedown and a direct attack on America's financial strength. Trump's statement turned a niche financial issue into a political flashpoint, pressuring both the Biden administration and Swiss officials. He accused Swiss politicians of slapping a massive tax on the U.S. and promised a better deal if he were president. Bern responded diplomatically, emphasizing the proposal's early stage and Switzerland's commitment to international partnerships. The Swiss stressed that any decision would consider global relationships and competitiveness. Meanwhile, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the administration is monitoring the situation and communicating concerns to Swiss counterparts. Trump's public broadsides contrast with the administration's quieter diplomacy. The clash highlights deep divides in American foreign policy. The stage is set for a contentious debate over who can best protect America's financial interests. How does a Swiss tax add $48 billion to the U.S. deficit? It's a question that might seem distant, but its impact is closer to home than most Americans realize. It's not a direct bill sent to Washington, but an indirect cost that quietly accumulates as the U.S. pays more for refining and managing its gold reserves overseas, especially in Switzerland. The Treasury and Federal Reserve regularly send gold to Swiss refineries for upgrades, purification, and international swaps, relying on Swiss expertise and infrastructure. With a 7.7% value-added tax, every transaction involving gold becomes more expensive, inflating the cost of each shipment and service. Over a decade, these higher costs add up, just like a recurring service fee that quietly drains resources year after year, compounding the financial burden. Since the U.S. already runs a significant deficit, this new expense doesn't just disappear. It simply increases the national debt, pushing the numbers even higher. That's why the issue is so politically charged. Lawmakers argue over who's to blame and how to respond, fueling heated debates in Congress and on television. Any policy that raises the deficit becomes political ammunition, used in campaign ads and speeches to sway public opinion and win votes. Critics argue the administration isn't doing enough to protect taxpayers from costly foreign financial moves, demanding more oversight and transparency. The connection is clear: a Swiss tax means higher U.S. costs, a bigger deficit, and ultimately, more debt for future generations to shoulder. The debate is about more than just gold. It's about America's long-term economic security, family finances, and the nation's financial future. The stakes are real, and the consequences will be felt for years to come, affecting everything from government programs to household budgets. The pressure is on for leaders to find a solution before the costs spiral even further out of control. A $48 billion deficit hit may seem distant, but it could affect everyday Americans. Disruption in Swiss gold refining could drive up gold prices, impacting jewelry buyers and investors. The US dollar's value is tied to financial stability. Higher debt and gold costs can weaken the dollar. A weaker dollar means pricier imports, electronics, clothing, even coffee. Borrowing costs could rise as the government issues more debt, leading to higher interest rates on mortgages and loans. A Swiss tax could make it more expensive for families to buy homes or cars. Political fallout could distract lawmakers from domestic priorities and spark trade tensions. The Swiss gold tax is a reminder. Global decisions have local consequences. Economic stability at home depends on stable international relationships. Foreign policy is, in many ways, domestic policy. Economic analysts see the Swiss tax as a move in a global chess game. Switzerland is like the only mechanic with the right tools, now considering a price hike. The question, is Switzerland overplaying its hand? Experts warn that a 7.7% tax could push business to Dubai or Singapore, changing the gold market map in a few years. If too much business leaves, Switzerland could lose jobs and end up with less revenue. The global gold market could face chaotic adjustment, hurting everyone. For the US, the $48 billion impact is serious, but America has leverage. The US could use diplomacy or diversify its refining partners, even invest in domestic capacity. Trump's threats signal the US won't accept new costs quietly. Both sides are testing each other's resolve. We're in the opening moves of a complex negotiation. The outcome will shape the future of global finance. The Swiss gold tax story is far from over. It's a powerful example of how one country's decision can trigger global consequences. The weeks leading to the October debate in Bern will be critical. This is a reminder to stay informed. Global events shape our wallets, jobs, and future. The price of gold, the value of the dollar, and the national debt affect every American. The final outcome will depend on policymakers, markets, and public pressure. Will Switzerland risk its gold capital status? How will the US respond? The golden standoff's importance is crystal clear. It's ending, still unwritten.